Hi! Hello! What's up? So, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, welcome. If you're returning, thanks for watching. Actually, thanks for watching, everybody. So today we are going to talk about how, sorry, I gotta get that good lighting. How do you pass the NASM CPT exam? I'm gonna give you my tips. This probably will turn into a long video, but that's a good thing because I'm literally gonna tell you like everything that you need to know to be successful in this exam because it's not easy, okay? It's not easy, but it's totally doable. It has a 50-50 pass-fail rate, so just be aware of that. Don't be one of those people that thinks that you can just waltz in because you work out and you're gonna pass. You will not pass. You cannot YOLO this exam. You have to study. So, I have my tips here. So if you see me look down, that's what I'm doing. Okay, so tip number 1 is start studying early. So you have 180 days, aka 6 months, to take the exam from the time that you buy it. First of all, when you buy the exam or when you buy the course, I did the self-study. So like I taught myself. That's the kind of thing that I like. If you want to do the other ones, they're more expensive. I was trying to go for that cheap route. Call NASM. If you get online and if you say that like you're interested and you type in their email, they will actually call you. And they'll offer you a better deal on the phone. So if you financially are able to, a lot of times they'll break it up month to month for you. I paid 40 bucks a month for 12 months, I think. I don't know what that adds up to, 480? Yeah, around that. So that's cheaper than what a lot of people are gonna be paying. I think normally if you buy it online, it's like $700. So yeah, have them call you, first of all. So yeah, back to tip number 1, start studying early. I started studying, so I bought the course in December. At the end of December. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna study and take the exam in March. Oh, well, no, not with my engineering school. So I would recommend doing it over the summer or over like a winter break. So what I ended up doing was I started studying in January, school got going and I was like, I can't do both. So I did school, I scheduled my exam for June 3rd. And then I got out of school May 8th and started studying after that. So start studying early, May 8th to June 3rd, a little under a month. I had at least 3 weeks of good study time in, okay? Tip 2, how to study, use multiple resources. So if you do the self-teach like I did, it's like an online module. There's 16 modules and it walks you through, and so it'll try and tell you to read the book. Personally, I didn't read the book because number 1, I lost my book, and number 2, the book is 600 pages of information, and I personally can't just read and memorize things instantly. It has to be like pounded into my head through multiple different ways. So that's the way that I recommend studying. If you're a person that can read the book and it just all goes to your mind, that's awesome. Good for you. I can't do that. So I didn't read the book. The online modules, pretty much how they work is they have, for each section, each module, there's 16, it'll have, oh, you can read the book here, watch a couple videos where they explain the main concepts of the book chapter, which I liked because I'm a visual and audio learner, not so much reading. So I like that, and then they go through like some different exercises with you about how to like teach clients how to do exercises, and then they have what's called interactivity, and the interactivity is just kind of like activities to get the knowledge into your head, and then they have a quiz on each module. Make sure that you know the quiz questions, and honestly I tried to get a 90 or 100 on every single quiz, and yeah, it's gonna take you a little bit longer to study, but you need to know that information because the quiz questions end up being the practice exam questions, and the practice exam questions end up being the real exam questions. So know them. So that's resource number 1 that I use. Number 2, There's a bunch of free practice exams on the internet. And I just took a ton of those. They're normally like 15, 20 questions each because nobody wants to give you a 100 question full exam for free. But those questions help. They're gonna ask you things that may not necessarily be on the exam, but it'll help you critically think to solve problems. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, this exam is not black and white. You have to be a problem solver to get through this exam. Okay, another resource that I used was this website that taught you the different muscles. I'm gonna link it down below, okay? All the resources I used, I'll link down below. It's called like Click It Muscle or something like that. And it starts you off on like a really easy level, and it works you up until you pretty much know all the major muscles in the body, and that helped so much. Because looking at a chart of a muscles, you're like, holy fuck, there's no way I'm gonna be able to learn these. And yeah, it's hard. So I found this website, it's free, it's easy. I did the full, there's 3 levels that you could do. I did all 3 of those twice. And it really helped me learn the muscles, so that's good. I'm trying to think of, there are a couple apps that you can get for your phone that will do like daily questions and stuff like that. One of them is called Poshmark. I didn't upgrade to the premium version. I didn't pay for them. I just downloaded them for free. So hang on, I'll pull them up and I'll show you guys which ones they are. Let me look. Okay, so see if it'll focus here. So you have the Poshmark and the NASM CPT. It's these 2 right here. Poshmark, NASM CPT. If you just go into the App Store and look up NASM CPT, there will be free apps. So definitely recommend those because you can do the questions of the day. Again, it's just how many different ways can you get that knowledge drilled into your head to where it's second nature. And I'll get into that in a second. Tip number 3. After you've completed the online modules, you've done the majority of the memorization stuff, take multiple practice tests. Endless. Over and over and over again. Even the NASM ones, so on the NASM website within the self-teach, there's 2 different practice tests. So don't think there's just one, there's 2. At the end of module 16, remember this, module 16, there's a practice test. Well, if you scroll past module 16, there's like NASM resources or something like that, there is another practice exam. That practice exam, under the resources tab, I want to say like half the questions carried over into the real exam. So look at that, study it. Don't memorize the questions per se. Memorize, learn how to recognize these things. If that makes sense. So yeah, take endless practice tests over and over and over again. Just take as many as you can through NASM and through different resources, because a lot of the questions, they will carry over or they'll be similar. Not all of them, but at least 50% of them will be. So that's 50% of things that you're not gonna have to try and solve with your brain. Okay, tip number 4, I'm gonna go over the main things that you need to know really well, really well. And this is after your training, after you go through the modules, after you go through everything. This is the bulk of what the exam is going to be on. The first thing, number 1 thing that you need to know is the OPT model. Know it inside and out. Inside and out. I hope you're hearing me right now. You need to know everything about the stabilization, strength, and power levels, okay? There's 3 levels within the strength one. And you need to know the exercises in each. You need to know the rep ranges in each. You need to know the rest times for each. And you need to know everything about each of those stages of the OPT model, because they are going to ask you so many questions. So, for example, a question will be like, how long is the rest time between sets for the power level? Do you know it? Yeah, you gotta know that. You gotta know like the resting for the strength level and for the stabilization, and you gotta know all those. By the way, for the power, it's 3 to 5 minutes, but yeah. And also, just so you guys know, I'm videoing this, like, I took the exam this morning, so I'm videoing this like right after because all the stuff is pretty fresh. So, know the OPT model. Number 2 was know the exercises. What does a power stabilization exercise look like? Because they're gonna try and trip you up with the stabilization endurance, stabilization strength, and stabilization power. So you need to know what the different exercises are for those. So know them really, really, really well. And I'll link some resources that I used below that kind of like listed out what was in each. Okay, number 3, the different types of stretching. I think that there was like 5 questions on this on the exam. You need to know what active isolating stretching is, dynamic, and static. You have to know what those are because they are going to ask you a lot, and they will ask you things like what kind of stretching or should you do for a warm-up. Usually the answer is always dynamic stretching. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. So if the answer has dynamic stretching, another thing that you need to know is everything about, this is kind of included in stretching, self-myofascial release, that's foam rolling. You need to know what foam rolling does, how long to hold foam rolling on a tender spot, 30 seconds at least. You need to know all that stuff, okay? So make sure you know that. All right, number 4. I touched on this a little bit earlier, but you need to know the main muscles of the body. So you need to know traps, delts, pecs, serratus anterior, I think is what it's called, abs, lats, lower back, glutes, all that stuff, your legs, your calves and quads, all that stuff. You need to know the muscles that comprise those. And the little click muscle thing, I think that's what it's called, which I will link below, will help you so much. But do not go in there trying to just YOLO your way through the muscles because you need to know the body. And they are going to ask you questions on, okay, if my shoulders are up, what muscles are overactive? Or what muscles need to be lengthened? If they say what muscle needs to be lengthened, what muscle is shortened, what muscle is overactive, those all mean the same thing. They get tricky with the words, so you have to read it carefully and understand what they're trying to say. So if my shoulders are up, what's overactive? It's gonna be the traps or trapezius. Anyway, know the muscles, overactive and underactive. Tip number 5, overhead squat assessment. This is a big one. This kind of also goes back to the overactive and underactive muscles one, but the overhead squat assessment, they're gonna use it a lot, and they're gonna ask you questions like, and you need to know all the answers to these. So if during the overhead squat assessment, if somebody's arms are falling down, what's the cause of that? Well, it could be tight pecs because the arms are falling down, stuff like that. Or excessive forward lean. You have to know what causes excessive forward lean and what is overactive, what is underactive, what is shortened, what is lengthened, what needs to be stronger, what is weaker, all that stuff, okay? So be able to answer those questions. And somebody recommended this to me. Don't be afraid to stand up in the exam room and do the overhead squat assessment and act it out and be like, oh wow, like my lats are burning, or my traps, or my pecs, or my abs, or whatever. You know, what causes your feet to lean out, to turn out? What causes your knees to come in? One question that I'm just gonna tell you right now is, if this was a question that they asked, if your knees point in on the overactive squat assessment, what muscle needs to be strengthened? There was no glutes, There was no abductors, none of that was on there. The only thing that was on there was the TFL, your tensor fascial, I don't know how to say the last word, TFL. The TFL, pause, is this muscle right here, okay? So in a way, it is kind of your abductor, but it's their tricky way of saying abductor. And so, yeah, TFL has to be strengthened, okay? So if they ever say, like, is there anything that needs to be strengthened, and if they don't say glutes, abductors, but there's an option for TFL, that's the winner, winner, chicken dinner. So yeah, know the overhead squat assessment very, very well. Take a water break. Okay, number 6. Know the different tests that there are. So there's a lot of different tests, like the Rockport test and the YMCA step test and the Davies test and the Shark skill test. You need to know what all of those are, what they do, why you need to know them, okay? So I'm not going to explain all of them because you need to learn. Tip number 7. Carbs, fats, proteins, so your macronutrients. You need to know, number 1, what they're made out of, like polysaccharides, all that stuff, your proteins, that sort of thing. You need to know what chemicals make them up. So know what they're made of, where they're digested. Is it digested in the stomach, small intestines, or lining of the small intestine? You need to know. What percent you should consume in your diet. So generally, carbs are the majority, then protein, then fats. But yeah, you need to know that. This was like 2 questions on the exam. Just know this because I don't think it was in the lessons or the books or anything. I think it might have been it was a practice question on one of the practice exams. But a high protein diet is hard on your kidneys. So know that, because that was 2 questions. Was like, what does a high protein diet do? Blah blah blah. It's hard on your kidneys. Okay. Tip number 8. Your heart rate. You need to know how to calculate it. You need to know how to calculate the heart rate reserve, the maximum heart rate, your resting heart rate, all the heart rates, okay? And that will be in some of the resources that I list below, but you need to be able to do that fluently, okay? Let's see, number 9, you need to know the ATP PC system, when it's used, when it's not used, oxidative systems. There's a lot of systems that you need to know, so make sure you know those. Number 10, upper crust and lower crust syndrome. So lower crust syndrome is anterior pelvic tilt, which means that you have a super back arch. Anterior pelvic tilt is like that, like, oh wait, no, I did it the wrong way, like this, like crazy arch back. That's called lower crust syndrome. Upper crust syndrome is hunched shoulders. So, but go online, learn about them. Number 11, client interactions and goals for the client. There were quite a few questions that was like, so-and-so can't find a way to fit their workouts in. What, as the personal trainer, what should you do? Okay, well, you gotta think that out, figure it out. So know about client interactions and goals. Number 12, yeah, sorry, numbers. And all of these 12 things are within tip 4, by the way. I know that that's kind of getting confusing, but there's going to be a couple questions that's like, when do you need to alert a medical professional or refer someone to a medical professional? It's when there's something that is life-threatening or like a medical condition, okay? Because we as personal trainers, we do not diagnose medical conditions. That is a doctor's job. That is not my job, okay? So it's like, there was one, I think it was a practice question that's like, when should you contact a medical professional? Oh, when somebody dislocates their spine. Hello? That's their, he said their cervical spine, because if you like sever the cervical spine, that's not good. It's life-threatening. Oh yeah, that was the question. Which of these is life-threatening? And one was like fatigue, and one was like meh, 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 and then one is like dislocation of the cervical spine, like that's life-threatening. Yeah, so it's like when you become aware of an undiagnosed medical condition. So it's like, if you find out, like, say for example, you're taking somebody's blood pressure just to check. And, oh, I thought of another thing that you need to know. And you find out that they have insanely high blood pressure. It's like, you need to go to a doctor and get released to work out because you got issues, bam. So just keep that stuff in mind. Another tip, I think this is what, 13? Know the difference between subjective and objective information. Objective information is going to be your body assessments, the different tests, the posture assessments, stuff like that. Subjective is going to be lifestyle, past medical history, because when somebody tells you their past medical history, they could be lying. That's called subjective information, okay? So you need to know the difference because there's several questions on objective and subjective information. Okay, so back to the tips. Tip number 5, after all that stuff, don't freak out during the exam. The exam is 120 questions. 20 of them are research questions. So you have to get a 70 out of 100 questions. So you can miss 50, okay? So, because the 20 research questions, they don't count for anything. So today, I'll just tell you guys, the way that the system works, you can go through and you mark the questions that you're like, need to review or whatever. I had 34 marked and I was like, fuck me. What if like, what if I missed a bunch of other ones and I don't know it? Or like, don't psych yourself out. You just need to go in there, and this is what I did, okay? I marked the questions I wasn't sure about. I tried my best. I went through every single question, thought through it critically, tried to answer it the best possible way that I could, and I did not psych myself out, okay? So don't go in there thinking like, I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna fail, because it is easy for them to psych you out. And honestly, I think that this is one of their like evil tricks, possibly, I don't know. Not that NASM is evil, okay, take that back. Not an evil trick, but possibly a trick, is you get psyched out and you freak out and then you're not thinking clearly and you're not answering the questions the right way. So just take a deep breath and yeah, just answer the questions to the best of your ability. Don't freak out. I walked out, they print out your paper and they say you passed. So those are my tips. If you have any questions or anything else, just leave a comment. My social media is also below, so you can reach out to me on Instagram, Twitter, that sort of thing, Snapchat. Yeah, ask me any questions that you have. I'm making this to help you guys, so it's not like I get anything out of this. I just want to help people that want to be personal trainers, because I get it, it's hard. I was worried about it. I thought I was gonna fail. And it costs, just in case you're wondering, so you have the initial class cost, which is like, and if you fail it and you have to retake it, it's $200 to retake the test. So nobody wants that in their life, not me at least. So you want to try and pass it the first time for money's sake, and just for yourself's sake. Like, who wants to put themselves through the stress of taking the test again? So, like I said, if you have any questions, please comment below, DM me on Instagram, email me, Snapchat me, tweet me, I don't care. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful. If it was, and if you enjoyed this, please leave a thumbs up and a comment below, because it really helps out my channel, and I'm so thankful for you guys. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'm gonna try and get this uploaded ASAP. Ferg, And yeah, I hope you guys have a great time, and good luck to anybody who's going to be taking the test soon. So,